Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a video that's been requested a few times, and that is I'm going to recommend 5 thrillers for beginners. So this is a video that I've been asked to do a few times, and actually I've been kind of reluctant to do it, and I think it's because I'm slightly worried about recommending books that turn out to be like scarier or darker than people are able to handle. However, I feel like if I give my thoughts, and then you guys can go off and do more research and like check for trigger warnings and all that kind of thing and make your own minds up, because we're all grown-ups here. So I'm going to recommend 5 thrillers. So as we know, if you've watched my channel, I love a good thriller. I love a dark thriller. Definitely an author I wouldn't recommend if you're new to thrillers is Karen Slaughter, because her books are brutal. They are also some of my favourites. But these are books that I feel like are more on the psychological side of things, like lower on the like gore or violence side of things, and yeah, more towards the psychological end, which I feel like is a good way of getting into thrillers. So here we go. The first 2 really are recommendations for authors. My first recommendation is C.L. Taylor, who wrote Sleep. I've also recently read The Accident by her, which was in my February wrap up, and at the time of filming I'm halfway through The Lie. I don't have any of these books physically. I read Sleep last year for Thrillerathon and thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually think I preferred The Accident, and I'm also really enjoying The Lie over Sleep, but I'm just steadily making my way through her backlist because she's an author that I really enjoy. I feel like she's good for a beginner because it's very psychological. The Accident and The Lie are both based within either friendship groups or a family unit, and I feel like it's kind of that slight step from like a family drama into more of a psychological thriller type setup. So Sleep in particular is one that I really enjoyed last year. That we follow in that a woman who decides to leave London and takes a job in a remote Scottish hotel, like right out in the middle of nowhere. She takes a job as a receptionist. A group of people arrive on holiday, and then a dead body is found. And yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed that. I really like the way she writes. They're very quick reads, really well paced, and they're not gory or particularly brutal. So yeah, I would recommend you start with her. Another author that I'm going to recommend just in general, but also specifically, is Ruth Ware. This was one of my favourite books of last year, The Turn of the Key, which is based loosely on The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. I've also read The Woman in Cabin 10, and I've got my notes down here, and what else have I read by her? In a Dark Wood, which was in my January wrap-up by her. She's an absolutely fantastic writer. Again, she's one that I want to go and read like her whole backlist. I also want to reread The Woman in Cabin 10 because it's been a few years. I think I read it when it first came out, and it's been a little while. Although I think I can still remember the answer. But much like C.L. Taylor, Ruth Ware does kind of very clever psychological thrillers. They are quite dark, but they're not gory. This one in particular is really creepy. I mean, it's based on a ghost story, so that probably tells you a bit about what this is like. But we're basically following a woman who takes a job as a nanny to, I think it's 3 children. Yeah, 3 children. And the house is a smart house, so everything is controlled basically from an app. And basically stuff gets weird. The parents go away for work. She's left with the kids. Stuff goes down. Would really, really recommend this one and Ruth Ware in general. Then I feel like if you are wanting to kind of transition into thrillers, a good way of doing it is to find a genre you already like, and then find a book that has like thriller elements to it. So one of the things that when I was starting to read thrillers, that I read a lot was sort of historical fiction thrillers, like mysteries and stuff. And my favourite one, which I've mentioned loads on this channel, is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. Again, this is super creepy. It definitely gets creepier on reread because you pick up on things second and third time around that you didn't the first time. Look how battered this copy is. I've read it probably 3 or 4 times now. We are in the 1800s, I think. A woman called Elsie, or early 1900s, has just got married. She's pregnant. Her husband then dies, and she is sent to his country manor to have the baby. And when she's there, she discovers these things in the attic called silent companions, which are basically wooden figurines that are made to look like people. We also jump back in time to the 1500s, and a storyline that happens there, which connects with Elsie. It all gets super creepy. But I think if you're looking to read more kind of thrillery, dark things, I think this would be a really good one to help with that transition. Plus, it's just a cracking story as well, and I'd really recommend it. I'm also going to recommend another book that I don't have a physical copy of, but that is The Last One by Alexandra Olivia. Again, I think I've mentioned this before in wrap-ups and stuff, and favourite reads of the year, I think for 2018 possibly. So this one is a survival story. So again, if you're into kind of like survival stories or more possibly apocalyptic type things, and you want something a bit darker and a bit more thrillery, this one is basically, we follow a woman called Zoo. She enters a reality TV show, like a survival show, where basically a whole bunch of people are put into a situation, and the last one standing will win $1 million. Like you can say I want to leave at any time, and the last person who sticks it out basically will win $1 million. So we see the start of the show, and then something happens, and the question is, has something catastrophic happened to the outside world, or is it all in Zoo's head? And I absolutely loved, I cannot recommend this book enough. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, I think it's a good one because it's very twisty, and we've got a couple of like reveals, but there's very little in terms of like actual violence or gore, and it's more of a mental game that is being played. And then finally, I'm going to recommend a thriller that I thoroughly enjoyed, which is The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. It's their first collaboration. I haven't read either of their other two books, mostly because I enjoyed this so much, and I've not heard great things about the second one they did, and I'm a little bit scared to read other books by them. However, this one I thoroughly enjoyed, and we're basically following, it's very, very twisty, and it's got one of the best reveals I've ever read. We're following a girl or a woman who is in a relationship with a guy, and his ex-wife is also on the scene, and that's kind of as much as I can say. Again, this is a psychological twisty thriller. I think it's fab. No violence or gore that I can remember, but it's just one of those books where I got to the end and I was like, well, that was clever. So yeah, I'd really recommend that. So those are the 5 thrillers or thriller authors that I would recommend if you are new to thrillers. Please leave me a comment below if you've got more recommendations for beginners for thrillers, and let me know what you think. Let me know if you've read any of these, and hopefully this was useful, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks guys, bye!